This palette weighs like 5 pounds. There's like 3 years of use. Okay, first thing you need is some paint and a large palette if you're going to be finger painting. You're also going to need your reference photo. This is mine. I'm going to paint Buzz Aldrin. That's what the customer wanted. Okay, now his legs look a little short, so I may have to do a little thing about that, but that's the beauty about painting, is you can just cover stuff up. And if you're finger painting, there's lots of texture, so you can just cover stuff up. What I use here is a pre-gessoed canvas, but I even use non-gessoed canvases without putting on my own gesso, and it turns out just fine. And the kinds of paints I'm using is acrylic, obviously, and I'm using just dollar store paint. I actually use this for almost all of my paintings. I do use higher quality paintings for when I'm doing on skateboards and stuff, when I'm actually using brushes, but for this, I find that dollar store paint works just fine. After you have your outline done, and you think you have it to about what you want it to be, you can put on your base layers. For this, I'm going to use white. Okay, so I got my basic base layer down. Just thick white. I have to wait for it to dry. Lots of it turned gray because the black wasn't dry yet, which is totally cool. I don't even care. I'm not sure what you would learn in like art school or whatever, but this is how I do it, and it works. While that's drying, I'm just going to do the background a little bit. Once the base layer is good for the background, kind of smooth it in one direction so that it doesn't look like chaos for when your background is actually part of the picture. And it doesn't matter if there's a bunch of lines in it, because you will come back to it later to do your small details. Okay, now once it's dry, we're going to add some proper color. So in this case, there's a bit of shading and stuff and whatever. My style, I like to add color that doesn't actually go on the picture, like yellow and pink and orange and blue and all sorts of things. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. So in this stage, I kind of use the color to get the details in there. So you kind of just do what you want. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to take some color away with some, I don't know what the technique is called, but I don't want it to pop so much that it takes away from what the vision is of the clients. So to get rid of some of the brilliant color, I am going to just add back on colors that are closer to it. This is probably the worst tutorial ever. I'm pretty happy with it. Basically all I did was take down some of the color, add some color, do kind of my own thing. I'm going to do a little bit more, like with his gloves. His gloves are gray or some sort of charcoal color, can't really tell. But I don't want it to match in with the background, and I mean, I'm not the best painter in the world, so I have troubles when things are very similar color, being in the background and foreground, it kind of blends together. So right here, I know he has a strap right here, which I kind of put on there, so I will add a little bit of pink just to give it a little more show up. And of course, these pictures always look better from further back. Alright, so now I want to take away from the brilliantness in the color, so I'll add some black. Right there, right here. Now from further back, it'll look a little better, and when it dries, it'll look even better. Alright, everything is dry. Now, I'm going to go over with more white to take away from more of the brilliance of this. Okay, now I'm liking pretty much. There's enough color in there to kind of differentiate from all his equipment on his suit. His arms look a little messed up, but looking at the pictures, it seems like that's how it's supposed to be. I'm not sure. So if we go in close, you can see what I did with my base layer is still there. It's very textured, it's whatever. It's very messy up close, so it doesn't look like much. I mean, with photorealism, some artists can make it look like a photograph up close and far away. That's not the goal here. Now with this, I'm gonna add his face shield details with all the equipment and stuff that's in the background. I'm gonna change it a little bit to make it my own, and I'm gonna add some stuff into the picture for the customer so it's custom to them. One thing I want to point out is when I'm doing depth and stuff, where I don't want it to be as dark, like here for example, and I want to do this, I just wait till there's not very much paint left on my fingers, or I'll wipe some off a little bit, and I'll just go in and do the little bits of whatever. And I still have to do the highlights in here, so I'm not too worried about if it doesn't look perfect just yet, because I can always go over again. That's the beauty of painting in general, is it can always be covered up. Just before I put on the highlights in the background, you can kind of see it's already looking pretty decent, at least in my opinion. It's good enough for my art. I'm going to add a little bit of highlights with the little bit of white that I have left, and hopefully the background will be good enough like that.
I need more white.
I can do some more. I was worried for a second. Yeah, that's more or less highlights on the background. You notice that I have a splatter here, a drip or whatever. I'm just going to leave that. Adds to the picture. It happens to lots of my paintings. Alright, to personalize this painting to the client, I'm going to add a beer in his left hand. For doing this, basically all I do is I put down my base color, which will be brown, and then I add yellow and orange to kind of get the effect I want. And it won't be perfect because I'm not going for perfect, I'm just going for badass. I just grabbed a bottle to kind of give me a reference. If I had a big ass glove on, how much would my hand cover a bottle of beer? I will kind of add a basic what's actually in the picture. So I'll add, I guess that would be Neil here, and it'll just be very crude. That just needs some white. So I'll wipe off my fingers a little bit, grab some white, and just kind of put it in the general area where he's supposed to be. And this is just kind of like what the picture is. It's just kind of a light around him, like a halo. What I'm actually going to do is put a kokanee truck here, kind of like the trailer. It's just parked there. There's no stars in the reference picture. I'm not sure exactly how stars work, but I don't really care. I'm going to put a little bit of stars in there anyway. So basically I just take some on my fingers and just give it a little sprinkle. And just like that, that's how you finger paint. Like me anyways. This is not a very instructive video, but I hope you learned something, or at least get some entertainment with my process. Hashtag finger painting.